Hi guys, this is Apple Questions Explained, and today we are going to explore why the iPhone was a leapfrog forward product and the most advanced phone in the mobile technology at that time, and why was it and is one of the most important phones both for the consumers and as a product for Apple. So please subscribe so that you can watch more content and many unanswered questions regarding Apple. Okay, so first of all, why did Apple want to make a smartphone or a mobile phone? Well, in 2002, after the iPod's 2001 launch, Steve Jobs realized that the overlap of the mobile phones and music players markets would force the iPod sales to get endangered, and it would force Apple to get into the mobile phones business. So, having that earlier thought, after seeing millions of Americans carrying separate Blackberries, phones, and Apple's own iPod MP3 players, he felt eventually consumers or customers would prefer just one device. That means a one size fits all solution. After that thought, they started the development of the original iPhone. Jonathan Ive is being credited for creating the design and the form factor or the hardware of the phone, whereas Scott Forstall was responsible for creating the original software for the phone. Now, Apple took a completely opposite approach other than other phones while designing the phone, which would later be called the iPhone. Because if you look at some of the phones, like from 2007, smartphones and mobile phones alike, um, like Nokia 3310, BlackBerry, Nokia 9 N95, Nokia 6500 Classic, and Samsung SJH E250, then you'll observe that there is one similarity between every phone. There were chunky little plastic keyboards below the screen, which are boring to use and had no user experience as you use the phone, as the companies took from the computers, because a computer would have a keyboard, mouse, etc.
Software. Now, why do we need a revolutionary user interface? I mean, here's four smartphones, right? Motorola Q, the BlackBerry, Palm Treo, Nokia E62, the usual suspects. And what's wrong with their user interfaces? Well, the problem with them is really sort of in the bottom 40 there. It's this stuff right here. They all have these keyboards that are there whether you need them or not to be there. And they all have these control buttons that are fixed in plastic and are the same for every application. Well, every application wants a slightly different user interface, a slightly optimized set of buttons just for it. And what happens if you think of a great idea 6 months from now? You can't run around and add a button to these things. They're already shipped. So what do? It doesn't work because the buttons and the controls can't change. They can't change for each application, and they can't change down the road if you think of another great idea you want to add to this product.
The companies who designed these phones took from the computers and designed arrow keys for the keyboards to pass the cursor from one place to other. So there was no user experience and it was not intuitive to use. As I said earlier, very, very boring and no user experience. But Apple wanted to offer something else. They invented a new technology called Multitouch, which could sense your gestures and operate accordingly. Basically, they were touch screens. They were the first touchscreen devices to be introduced by anybody in the industry. And as Steve Jobs thus said that it was 5 years ahead of any other phone in the market, and he was right. It was introduced as a smartphone, which was a iPod built-in, phone capabilities, and internet browsing capabilities. So if you are wondering what is a smartphone, then a smartphone is having phone call, internet browsing, and email capabilities. So let's get back into the topic. So you may be wondering, how did this multi-touch technology help Apple? Well, you didn't need a stylus to operate the iPhone. You can use an organ of your body which would you would never lose, etc. And one more advantage was that it increased the size of the screen. to 4.5 inches, because you didn't have any plastic keyboard, something like that. So a similar phone of the same generation would have 1 or 2 inches of actual screen to look at, and the rest is keyboard, as I said, and had only one external button, which is called as the home button, and only 11.6 inches thick. Now you may think, nah, that's not so impressive in in today's standards, but it was back then, and it was important for the consumers, because you have a bigger screen to look at and a built-in iPod for music browsing, and had phone capabilities and a large app ecosystem for more apps and more functionality, and it had more options for each app, and it had an inbuilt keyboard to type and etc. And along with the iPhone's introduction, there was the App Store. As I said earlier, it provided a large ecosystem for the consumers to increase the functionality of the iPhone. And for Apple, it was tough for them to count the amount of revenue that the iPhone made in its first year itself, because people were waiting for a phone like that. Apple sold over 1.4 million iPhones, resulting in a revenue of $630 million. It is the second fastest selling device Apple has ever made, just second to the iPad, and in 2007. So it continues to be a highest source or chunk of the entire revenue Apple makes. So if you want to know about the original iPhone's technical specifications, then check the description below. And if you want to watch the entire event in which the iPhone was introduced, then find the link in the description again, because Steve Jobs has given an ultimate public speaking display. So thanks guys for watching. Hope you liked the video, and leave a like if you have liked it, and subscribe for more content, and share the video if you have liked it. Thank you.